Stop the insanity. Get your focus back onto what really matters in life. Your faith, your family, your finances, and your future. Sit back, listen, and change the trajectory of your life. You are listening to the Money for Life podcast. Let's welcome your hosts, Teresa Kuhn and Rick Sapio.
Hello, everyone. This is Rick Sapio. I'm here again with my partner, Teresa Kuhn, for another podcast on Money for Life, where we help you engage and enliven and achieve in four important categories of your life: faith, family, finances, and future. We want you to have a fulfilling life. And today we're going to talk about someone that's near and dear to my partner, Teresa. And this is a tribute to an extraordinary life. We're going to talk about somebody named Mercedes that Teresa grew up with. And Mercedes has lived a fulfilling life, and she's at the end of that life right now. Teresa, take it away.
Thanks, Rick. This is a tribute to my very dear friend, Mercedes Rodriguez Fowler. Mercy and I have been very close friends since 7th grade, junior high, high school, college. Last few years, we certainly have not kept in touch. We both lived very different lives, separate lives, but we've always maintained a lot of love for each other over the years. And whenever we connected as if time had not passed. And I'm sure you've got friends like that. You may not speak for years, and all of a sudden you connect and it's just like time lapses. Mercy and I, in terms of our friendship, a little unusual. Mercy was a beautiful girl. In 7th grade, she was very much a woman, loved to dance, very social, and I was not. I was absolutely a bookworm and very introverted. Her parents absolutely loved me because I was a very good girl, very quiet at that time anyways. Her and I were just great friends. She was a beautiful soul, very kind, very sweet, very loving, not really into school, and I was very much into school. And really what Mercy wanted more than anything in her life was to be a wife and a mom. That was her goal. And so school really was in the way of her becoming a wife. We both graduated from high school. I went to college and she went to work. We were both still in Miami, which is where I'm from. And so we still kept very, very much in touch and all the time. And in fact, after her 21st birthday, there was an evening that she went out with her boyfriend, her then boyfriend, to a baptism. And we were supposed to get together afterwards. I get a call that she had been in an accident. And instead of getting together with her, my other girlfriend, Ann, and I went to see her at the hospital. Her boyfriend had been driving drunk, and she flew out of the hatchback, landed in an awkward place, and became a quadriplegic. At the time when we were at the hospital and we found out the news that she was a quadriplegic, we didn't know what to make of it. You know, Mercy wasn't that type of person that you would say, oh my gosh, no matter what, she got it. She's going to overcome this. She can work through this. She was not that person. She was not that girl that we would have said that. But as life would have it, oh my goodness, Rick, she not only became that person, but she went on to live an extraordinary life, really lived a life of her dreams. Maybe not exactly the way she wanted. She was not able-bodied, but she impacted so many people. She went on to go to school, get her master's, become a counselor at school, work with young people who she loved. She got married to a wonderful man. She had a beautiful son, Christian, who is a couple years younger than my son. She lived an extraordinary life.
What would you say were the attributes that made her overcome these massive circumstances? And as I ask the question, I'm thinking about today, I see people that have everything, including drugs to make sure they're not depressed or anxious or overweight. They have everything at their disposal, and yet they're massively depressed. So what do you think Mercy had, people that I see in the world, especially in wealthy America, don't have?
You know, I think she had to dig really, really, really deep to find strength to overcome her circumstances. When you think of a quadriplegic or a paraplegic, and I was aware of her life very intimately, Every part of your life physically is not yours. You have no privacy. Somebody has to help you do everything. The character, the strength, the patience you need to overcome your daily circumstances is really extraordinary. When I look back at, especially in the beginning, her day-to-day life, Rick, I can tell you, I don't know that I would have had the patience. I don't know that I would have had the mental wherewithal to overcome what she overcame. And it wasn't just living day to day, it was still chasing her dreams and accomplishing what she wanted to accomplish. I can only project, I've got to think that it was because she had to get out of her day-to-day circumstances and look out to the future and say, what do I want my life to become? Who do I want to be? Do I just want to be this person who's in a wheelchair and not do anything with my life? Or do I want to make an impact? And not only did she make an impact, Rick, on a small scale, she made an impact on a major scale. She became Miss Wheelchair America, which again, if you go back to the Mercy that I knew before her accident, she was not an attention type of person. She had no interest in giving speeches or talks or anything like that. She worked at a bank. I mean, that was her thing. Just like, I'll do my administrative work and I'll get married and I'll have my babies and that's it for my life. And she went on to give talks and speeches, really wanting to impact kids' life. She would look to her, and this is a phrase that you use all the time, like you take your life seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously. She would give talks where she'd be like, look at me. I'm in a wheelchair due to a choice that I made. I got into a car with somebody who was driving drunk. If you don't want this life, don't make the same choices that I made. If you and I say that to someone, what kind of impact does that have? When someone in a chair and you look at her and she was beautiful, she makes that statement. It makes an impact.
Ironically, and I know we talked about this in a prior podcast, but I think it's important to bring up. When I was 18, the phone rang in my home at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I answered it, and it was a police officer, and he said, I'm at the scene of an accident with your sister. I've got a choice to make. Revive her, she'll be a vegetable for life. If I don't revive her, she'll pass in the next few minutes. What should we do? And I'm 18 and I freaked out. I got my mother. So I have a sister who was paralyzed from the neck down as a quadriplegic for about a year. And then she somehow miraculously got some feeling back in her left side and some movement back. So she's had a very, very rough life, all kinds of internal injuries. Same story. She drunk driver, without getting into all the details. You know, I always say to my kids, nothing good happens after 10 p.m. If you have a life in which you're working after 10 p.m. or you're sleeping or you're reading or you're learning, you'll probably have a high probability of not having a story like this. But I completely understand how difficult that life is. And watching my sister, who's alive and doing well, she met an incredible man and she got married once. She's been married for a long time. They do have a son too, so very similar story. But I go back to, we hear these stories a lot. And we're talking about Mercy in the context of an extraordinary life. How is it that people listening to this podcast with much more at their disposal, how can we get them to embrace the motivation and the strength of character and the going inside of themselves to believe that they can achieve whatever it is they want? How do we get them, no matter how old they are, to do that? And I'm thinking now about a friend of mine who is 83 and just called me yesterday about the new business he's starting, full of life, full of zeal, full of energy at 83. So what do you think people need to do to have Mercy's passion for life?
I think it begins with having a vision bigger than your circumstances. You have to have something that gets you up every single day. You know, Mercy's issues, physical, extremely difficult. We all have our burdens. We all have our issues. We all have our internal struggles. Hers just happened to be very physical, but we all struggle just in different ways. And I think it's having that bigger picture. I think it's having that vision, something to pull you forward and say, you know what? Today sucks and tomorrow's a new day. Or this morning sucks and next minute is a new minute and I can make this day better than it is already. It's just that constant resiliency and drive towards that vision. Without a vision, my people will perish. We've heard that over and over and over. And we need that vision. She had a vision of the life that she wanted to create. She was only married once to an extraordinary man, lovely man. And she met him because, and I will tell you, her and I were both single at the same time. She dated a ton. She dated a ton of guys. She wanted a husband. She wanted a baby. And regardless of her circumstances, she put herself out there. Anyone who's able-bodied knows how tough it is to be single and how tough it is to go out and date. She had all the issues that we all have with dating, but she had that vision that she was going to find a good man and she was going to marry and have a baby.
Yeah, so think about what you're describing. I mean, here's a woman in a wheelchair, paraplegic, going on dates, meeting people, having a full life. So you're speaking about her, and I don't know the whole story. So she's now at the end of her life. So this is a very emotional topic for you. And she's looking at her life in the later stages of cancer. You know, the reason we wanted to talk about this is because she embraces the 4 categories that we want people to fully embrace: faith, family, finance, and future. So as you look at this, first of all, how do you feel about the fact that she's at the end of her life here on earth?
Certainly conflicted. On the one hand, I'm very sad that she's not going to be here. We actually said goodbye on Tuesday. She is in a coma now, and any moment we will find out that she has passed on. But I'm so happy that she's going to be free of her body. I'm so happy that she's going to be dancing with the angels. She loved to dance. She was a great dancer, and she's going to be free. Any moment now, she's going to be free. And I'm so happy for her and sad for us, sad for her family, but how proud I am of having had that opportunity to be with her when I did. And I'm not the easiest person to connect with because I've got blocks on my phone and social media. I don't really look at people who try to reach me on social media, etc. You know, there's some crazy people out there that try to reach you from time to time. And her brother did not give up and reached out to me. And so I got to say goodbye to her. And I'm very, very grateful that I was able to say goodbye to her. In fact, it was really funny. Douglas, her husband, wanted us to FaceTime. And I said, Douglas, hang on, I've got to go put on makeup. And he said, damn you girls, Mercy's on her deathbed and she wouldn't have anybody look at her without makeup. I had to put makeup on her. That was Mercy. That was definitely Mercy.
Well, was that Mercy or was that you?
Both of us. They always put on makeup even if you're on your deathbed. Why not? Like, you want to look good, right?
So except when it comes to makeup, take your life very seriously, but never yourself. But going back to that, we spend so much time thinking about our selfish needs and our wants and what other people didn't do for us, what the government doesn't do for us, what this person doesn't do for us. That's us taking ourselves so seriously, as opposed to what can we give? And I'm reminded of the story of Immaculée Iligabiza, the woman whose entire family was slaughtered in the Rwandan genocide. I got to know her very well. We are friends. And she said, when I first moved to America, right after the genocide, I'm sitting working for the United Nations and kind of shy, and I'm meeting people and they're complaining about their boss and they're complaining about their boyfriend. And they're complaining about coffee isn't hot. And very rarely did they ask me about anything. But she said, one time somebody said, what's your story? Tell me about your family. And she's like, well, my family was murdered. Well, what do you mean your family was murdered? Well, every member of my family was macheted by our neighbors who were friends with us prior to the government telling our neighbors to kill the other tribe. And 1 million people were killed in 1994. But my point is, it puts it in context. Like, this woman whose entire family was murdered by friends, as crazy as it sounds, she never takes herself that seriously because she looks at her life as being a vessel for humanity, for others. She looks inside for her strength to give to others. And it's an incredible story. I've never seen her depressed or not happy or not the beam of love. Wherever she goes, she's an amazing person to be around. And I would imagine that Mercy's the same way. I want to make sure in this podcast that you hear what we're trying to get across, which is no matter your current circumstances today, your aim could be and should be to be strong, to be faithful, to be hardworking, to have values and objectives that matter, to be purposeful, understanding why you're here. And that takes all the energy away from your daily needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and puts it out. What does the world need? Because a life well lived is one in which you impacted other people. And I always say that a value is something that is good for you. Like, I value eating healthy as an example. But a purpose is something that makes the world a better place. has nothing to do with you. And it sounds like Mercy had a very purposeful life. She was here to bring value to other people in spite of her circumstances. And if everybody understood that one thing, I think it would improve humanity overnight.
Because of her physical limitations, Rick, she lived a very simple life and very much on purpose. She couldn't have complexity. Her physicalness was complex enough. Everything else around her had to be simple. She was very purposeful. I'll go back to her dating life for a moment because this is brilliant, just a brilliant perspective. When she was dating, remember, her objective was to marry a good man and to have babies. She said the wheelchair protected her from guys who didn't have her best interest at heart, that she was grateful to have that wheelchair because it gave her the ability to only meet really good men. How beautiful is that?
It's a great perspective and a great reinterpretation. There's a word for it where you take something that's bad and you reinterpret it as something's good because everything has duality to it. I love that. That's a great reframe. That's what I was going to say. So with that, I am sorry that you're dealing with this in your life, Teresa, and I know it's very emotional for you. So thank you for bringing this story to light because it completely and totally aligns with why we do this every day. Why do we think about impacting other people through our podcast, Money for Life? Because it's not just money, it's life, and it's money for life. It's money, financial security, life fulfillment, a values-based life, a purposeful life. Mercy, I never met you, but I wish I did. And Douglas and your family, I wish you well during this difficult period in your life. And with that, we're going to sign off. Any final words, Teresa?
No, may God bless Mercy and her family and really all of us. We all have our wheelchairs, we all have our struggles, and may she remember her as an example when we have our bad days that, you know what, we can do it. We can do whatever it is that we want. Anything that we want to accomplish, Rick, we are all capable of accomplishing.
You have just experienced Money for Life. Implement these strategies today and create a life by design. Have a blessed day.